Welcome back. It's your girl Candy K. Lynn,
And your boy Shawton Shaw.
and it's time to
Pull up.
Mr. Shaw. We are talking mental health, and the reason that we're talking mental health is because it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Not only is it Mental Health Awareness Month, I wanted to tie it into to
Cause you know,
kind of
ain't nothing
keep.
wrong with my mental health.
Well, we wanted to. I wanted to tie it in to keep basketball kind of rolling. Just a little bit about basketball, and as well as celebrity news and gossip. So there has been so much conversation and diss and hate between um former number one NBA. He was drafted number one in the NBA draft. Um, and his career wasn't what many expected in somebody that most people have probably forgot existed since he's been out the league. And Kwame Brown was mentioned in All the Smoke, where Gilbert Arenas was having a conversation with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the conversation. I did not feel like the conversation was that extreme. But the reality of the situation is everybody deals with things differently at certain states in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I use this as a reference point because, as I said, this is celebrity news, this is basketball, this is lifestyle, and this is mental health because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So Charlemagne the God had a conversation last week about Kwame Brown's family. He talked about some personal things that had occurred in his family. Okay.
So how does Charlemagne know Kwame
He's
Brown's
his
personal business? They used to be cool.
Kwame Brown's dad has kids that grew up in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, with Charlemagne the God.
Okay.
So the information that he shared about his father's mental health, his brother's mental health, I heard Charlemagne say, "Leave that man alone." Right? That's how it started. And I think it's the way that we hear things that triggers us. Because Charlemagne was giving the examples.
Mm-hmm.
Our job is to report the story. Our job is to do the research to report the news, to make sure that our facts align.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This isn't like this was stuff that was told to him. This was this was public information. Okay? So I respect Charlemagne as a personality in his growth as a black male who's trying to address mental health, coming back to apologize for sharing stuff that may have traumatized his family, or in my opinion, more so, black family secrets. And I say all of that to say that I think it's sometimes those black family secrets that lead to our mental health in our communities and our mental health in our communities never being addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so mental health, if you guys are joining us online, we would love to hear what you have to say. But mental health is a state of well being in which an individual realizes his or her own ability to cope with the normal stresses of life. It's how we deal with things. Okay? And I use Charlemagne just because I heard, leave that man alone. This is his snapping point, right? He's doing low level snapping. The men in his family have a tendency to snap when they snap. And I'm not going to go into everything. The video is public. You can go to the Breakfast Club. You can watch it for yourself. But what I heard was, leave the man alone. His family got mental health. And I think that may play a part in why his career wasn't as great as people would expect it. Because sometimes we forget that we have things going on in our life. People expect us to go to work and still perform.
I had a coworker say her aunt died. She came to work. She said it was just so hard. I was like, I wouldn't have been here. Like, but okay. So mental. I didn't hear the interview with Charlemagne. I haven't been able to keep up with everything. I was in tune when he was getting to it with Matt Barnes, Stack Jack. They was going back and forth. Like Stack Jack and Matt Barnes said, we talk about you basketball wise. He was coming up to in person. I like that ain't got nothing to do with me, right? That's just me getting into it. Maybe they can sit down, have a conversation. Maybe they can't. Whatever the case may be. Like I was telling you, I don't think Kwame Brown should ever be focused as the face for an NBA bust. There are way worse players in the NBA that had way worse time in the NBA than Kwame Brown. I have Kentucky players such as Terrence Jones that played a lot less time than Kwame Brown did. I'm just gonna be honest. All right. So like T said, Sam Bowie, he was drafted before Jordan. Dirko Milicic, he was drafted for Melo. So if we just talking about NBA bust, I can name you a lot that got nothing to do with Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown played at least 10 seasons. He's able to make a roster. They can't say the same. Jimmy Fredette might be an NBA bust. I'm just giving you names. But as far as mental health go, most men aren't able to. My mental health, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't have mental health problems. I don't have mental health issues because I do believe I come from a family that might have mental health issues, right? But I'm able to speak on the things I go to. I'm able to talk about the things I go through. I am able to be open and honest about who I am and what I'm going through. So my mental health doesn't take as much as a knock. Most men are afraid to speak on their past, speak on what they went through, speak on what they went through in relationships, speak on what they went through with their parents. Most men are just afraid to do that. Why are they afraid to do that? I don't have that answer. I think men don't like, let me take that back. I do have an answer. Men don't like to be vulnerable, right? For a man, it feels very vulnerable when you start speaking on your emotions, speaking on your feelings, speaking about how you feel. I can say that because when I'm talking to a woman and I'm going through those similar situations of having conversations and speaking on how I feel, there's times where I'm like, okay, this doesn't quite feel right all the time. Because being emotional isn't always good for a man. The only time I'm comfortable being emotional when I'm watching anime. Right? It's okay for the tears to roll in. Most like watching it by myself. Okay? Hey, competitive nature, rivals. We talking about rivals. Don't do it. Talking about rivals. Okay? So for me, I know my mental health isn't always up to par. It slips at times, right? If I know my mental health isn't always right because I am a better person high than I am sober. Sober me is a total different person, right? Sober me will have a bitch feel. Plain and simple. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sober me will have a bit. High me, I'm not bit. It's whatever. It's cool, right? So it affects my mental. If I've been at work for too long, I need music to calm me down. I need music to put me in the right mindset. I need, So I understand my mental health. I know when I'm finna slip, put some music on. That'll take you away from everything. That'll drown your mind out. You been. I ain't been high for. Let me get high. Come back, a different person, right? Like, of course, I'm fat. Not eating doesn't bother. I might have a mental breakdown if I haven't had a shower in a minute. Okay? I know what triggers me. A lot of men won't say what triggers their mental health. If I've had to be somewhere and I ain't been able to shower in a little minute, I'm a flip like, hey, I'm start bitching. So for me, men need to sit down and know what triggers them and talk, right? Talk. Hit your partner. If you don't got partners you can talk to, you don't got good friends, female friends to talk to, your girlfriend. If you can't sit down, if the same person you sleep with, you can't have conversations about what you go through, you don't really need to be with that person, right? For men, and again, but most men's biggest issue starts at a young age. You're not supposed to cry. You need to hold that in. Now, I don't have those issues because Linda was for sure speak. Be who you are, right? But for most men, they don't have that open. They can't go talk to their mom about whatever. Because their mom did some stuff she don't want to talk about. Glenda gonna talk. Well, I was making the best decision for my children. And I thought, so it's just different for everybody. But communication, being able to communicate, that's step one to if somebody has mental health issues that they can't communicate. If they can't talk about everything, I just came from eating and drinking with our cousins. They said we're open, we're transparent. We don't get mad at each other for telling jokes. That's the reason why, right? Like our mental health is at a point to where you don't feel like somebody's coming for you when you tell a joke. You tell a joke about somebody, feel like you're coming for you.
And that's why I was talking about that's the reason why I brought the Kwame Brown situation up and the mental health combination. I think that one of the things that we miss in our community is counseling. We can talk to Jesus, we can talk to family, we can talk to friends. They don't prescribe prescriptions and they don't understand techniques to walk you through always how to calm yourself down, how to refocus your mind, how to create your positive energy, how to create boundaries. Black families lack boundaries. And what did you just say? You said that people can't have conversations because boundaries are never set. We're not honest. And that's what I stated about. I felt like everybody, us, came for Charlemagne about what he said. They missed the fact about his family snaps. They just took it as, oh, he's dishing tea. No, he's telling you his family there is something genetically off.
Mm-hmm.
Because the men in his family, they snap. And when they snap, it's like a high level snap. It's not a walking down the street because I'm mad. It's not a kicking in the door because you pissed me off. It is a aggressive, high level.
Somebody might die.
Yes, we can't come back from this. And so I think culturally we need to understand, yes, the first step is talking. But once you're talking and those people in your head are still talking and you're not finding any balance, it is time to now go talk to a professional. It is time to seek professional help. It is time to remove yourself from those environments. And drugs also cause the additional chemical imbalances because if you're already off, it's self-soothing.
Mm-hmm.
For some people, they can stay at one level. Okay, it's marijuana, or okay, it's alcohol. But when things get tougher, because life doesn't get easier.
At all.
For the chosen ones, there will be struggle. If you are faith-based and a Christian, God did not say that he was going to give you the rainbow with no rain. There will be storms. So, with the storms, what are you going to do when the pressure comes, right? How do we get over the racism? How do we deal with, the George Floyd situation and not be angry? How do we process it humanly and not be overloaded with it?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? How do we cry for things that we're not even attached to? So how do we show human emotion and compassion and still remain unbothered? How do we go to jobs? Like, how are people supposed to grieve when they got to be back at work in 5 days?
What is your grief if you only got 5 days?
Well, how are you supposed to grieve? How do you grieve when you work on jobs and they look at you and tell you your uncle or your aunt or they're not really close family? So you don't get bereavement. I have literally, huh?
They don't know if the people raised you or not.
Don't have a clue. So now you force people to be liars. You force people to be deceitful. And that's the racism. That's the idea of your step parents can be closer to you and people of other nationalities' eyes than your cousin. You don't know. You can't tell me how to grieve. So I think that we live in a society where racism plays a problem. Poverty, suspicion of white doctors, even with COVID-19 vaccine. What have we heard in our community?
Is that a real thing that people? It's not that I don't trust the government. I just know people tell you what they want you to hear so to fit their scenario. So for me, I'm not gonna say, well, I need a black doctor. I want who's gonna give me the best service. I want somebody who's gonna be honest with me about what I'm going through.
But are they gonna be honest with you?
Huh?
Are they gonna be honest with you?
A black doctor?
A white doctor?
I don't know. I'm saying I want the doctor that's gonna be completely honest with me. I don't want, for me it's not color. For me it's not color. For me, color is important when it comes to my food. Right? I don't want nobody white cooking me soul food. I don't want nobody black cooking me Mexican food. Right.
Well, I don't want nobody black cooking me Mexican food either. Even though I cook pretty good Mexican food, but I agree. When I go to the restaurant, I'm not going to a black-owned Mexican restaurant.
You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, I want the best doctor available. Right?
Well, let me share with you, gynecologist. As a black woman, I chose a white male gynecologist, and he basically told me, I said, "Sir, the birth control pills, they not working for me." He was basically like, "Oh, they work. No, you're not understanding. I'm sick as a dog. I feel like I'm going to die." That experience, black women lose their lives a lot during childbirth because no one is listening. And one of the things that it's all about fitting the narrative is what Kirk said. And then Catherine Lachey said, you force people to dumb down your emotions. This is something that's been pushed on us even before our time. This goes back to slavery.
They don't want to talk about that.
You force black women birth babies naturally for years, right? You don't listen to us. Our culture has been taught to suppress our emotions because, as I say all the time, Kenya Burris talks about it's because of slavery. People were like, oh, he's being extra. No, 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 no. In our culture, our mental health, we are traumatized from 400 years worth of things that had nothing to do with us. We never saw it. We never experienced it. We never felt it. But it was passed down to us from generation to generation, just like a recipe. How do we know we're not supposed to cry? Well, because they couldn't cry in slavery. You know why? Because they had to keep their kids alive.
Facts.
We have to survive. They were not thriving. Now we live in a culture where we need to learn how to thrive. How do we deal with the mental health? Do you know your family history? Do you know the uncle that grandma keep locked up in the house? Do you know what happened to him? Do you know his history? Do you know who your people are? Do you know who your daddy is? Do you know who your daddy's side of the family is? Do you know how many of them are incarcerated because they got mental health issues?
You're Jordan, y'all got y'all know.
Are we going to utilize our health insurance for those of us who have it and use those first 5 or 6 free sessions? Mr. Shaw, why are we afraid to go to therapy?
Because Michael Jordan and Dior got Jordan for $2,000 and people gonna pay it, and not thinking about other stuff that can use their $2,000 right. Therapy, right? We don't go to therapy for one. It's frowned upon, right? You don't need to. I don't care how black people feel about say. You don't need to talk to nobody. Ain't nothing wrong with you. That is the type of thing black people will tell you. You don't need to talk to nobody. And they on that. Sometimes you need to sit back with somebody who's gonna be impartial about what you. Let me tell you, I understand when I talk to people about they're gonna give you responses back that you might not want to hear. When you go sit down, they're gonna sit and talk to you, and they're gonna give you a response they've worked and they've learned how to say it to you, so it'll come out different to you. But people are afraid. First of all, stop worrying about what people think about you. If you know you got something mentally going on wrong with you, go get you the help. People are afraid to get the help because they worry about what people will say. People are afraid of what folks gonna say. The best thing about our mama, we weren't keeping up with the Jones. You can say what you need to say about us, as long as I'm okay. So the moment my mental health starts to slip, I'm going to sit down with a counselor. I don't know if you remember when we was younger, I been said we need to sit down with a counselor. But there's one person in the 5 of us who won't go sit down. I ain't saying.
Well, and again, that's because of 400 years worth of trauma and what we're taught. As a new generation, I feel like we need to unlearn. I've been to therapy.
Did it help?
I've been to therapy. Absolutely.
Your sister said she went too. I don't think it helped her.
I've been to therapy.
Your sister, when she said the therapist said wasn't nothing wrong with her.
Well, mine did too. There wasn't anything wrong with me. But here's the thing.
What color were they?
Here's the thing.
What color were they?
Here's the thing. They didn't look like me.
I see, you got somebody look like you. Because them people who ain't look like you lied to you. Something wrong with you, bro.
Here's the thing, right? What was wrong with me, I fixed it. I left them people's job. And I learned to separate myself and move on. And that's with family. That's with work. That's with church. That's with relationships. We need to know when things are helping us be in balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have choices. But there are certain environments that help send people over the edge. Whether we want to talk about it or not, that's the reality.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that caused what was loose to just break, right? You're standing on a board and it's cracked in between and you keep standing on the place that's cracked, you're going to probably fall through. And I feel like that's what's going on in our community with mental health. I'm glad that people like Taraji is starting to acknowledge it. I'm glad that there's a month where we can talk about it, where people can turn on podcasts and have a conversation about therapy. There are things, especially in our community, resources like Black Girl Therapy. If you need therapy resources, you can check the comments for my email and you can reach out to me. I have friends that are counselors. I will give you some resources to get you some assistance. But I was having a conversation a few months ago with a friend and she was just, she was just like telling us everything that was going on. And I was just like, girl, take out your insurance card and turn it over on the back and call that number. And it became like a joke in between, but it wasn't like I was serious because it was just like sometimes as people we are wearing too much. We cannot wear the burdens of the world. And that's the reason why the social justice situations that are taking place in our country, where we watch the death of Breonna Taylor, where we watch the death of George Floyd, where we're watching black men be killed on television. Did LeBron get suspended?
Mm-mm. If you had to deal with that, you'd have mental health too.
Right, but that's what he said. And it
Look, you got two of the most fierce leaders to ever play the game in NBA barking at you. So if you have a bad bro, and everybody knows you can't have a bad day with these two, right? That's why I call myself Fat Mama, but at the same time I want the LeBron James mentality. Because people cannot be barked at Kobe is a monster for that, right? Mad respect for him. But people just can't do it because everybody not mentally tough.
Right, but even if you're not, and see that's my thing also with people, right? When it's go time, I can't. People want certain people to change to meet them at their level. Sometimes we need to understand and rise to the challenge.
Look, that's why Kobe and Jordan were players and not coaches. That's why we never seen it.
But that's in everything else, right? That's even in like when you go to counseling. That's even in families. We're not all going to be the same. Everybody can't handle the same thing. But at some point, everything shouldn't destroy you. Everything doesn't require a response. Everybody who does something to you shouldn't have to be cussed out. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Oh, sorry guys. I'm trying to. I didn't get this updated.
Everybody.
Mr. Shaw, leave me alone. It's so hard trying to produce. But
hey,
guys,
your birthday month, you got to spit a hot 16 or you die. You live or not.
Mr. Shaw, you are off topic again. You're off topic. I don't know how anybody follows the show. I don't even know what you're talking about.
You did.
Is that related to mental health?
Yeah, because you have to spit a hot 16 or you're going to pass away. Your mental health is going to be stressed because you got to sing Lil Bo.
Mr. Shaw, stay on topic.
I'm on topic.
You're not on topic.
You got to spit 16 or you're going to pass away. You mentally going to be stressing about that, right?
Mr. Shaw, in real life, people
in real life.
So yeah. We are coming to the end of our show. I hope that some of you guys understand the importance of having conversations, the importance of finding people to talk to, people that can listen to you, can help guide you in the right direction so that you're not wearing stress on your chest. This is your girl, Candy K. Lynn.
And your boy, Shaw, a.k.a. the Fat Mama. Don't let them stress me. Pray.
And until next week,
go see the counselor. Pull up.